But they never give in. And that's the winner.
Welcome to the American Red Devils podcast. I'm John.
I'm Alex.
And we're bringing you the best Manchester United news from this side of the pond.
Woo, sir. How we doing? Ooh, it's almost there. It is right around the corner. Preseason starts tomorrow. The competitions have ended, but most importantly, preseason is about to get into full motion. We have our first signing done, dusted, official on the Manchester United website. Zirkzee is in the house. 300 reference. We're going to be getting some memes in the future at some point. You got Ratcliffe. He's talking. He's involved. He's making moves. Omar started yesterday. He had his first announcement, sending a letter out to Must. And there's just a lot of excitement, a lot of things to be hopeful about at Manchester United in the moment. You know, ownership changes, front office changes, coaching changes. I'm excited about what they're doing behind Erik ten Hag. I think they'll be good for him. And the players coming in, players going out. So we're doing deals where we got our first buy-in. We got a couple sales done, sir. A lot to be bullish about. How we doing? How we feeling?
From the new CEO of Manchester United, quote, "I also want you to know how seriously I take fan engagement. Fans are the lifeblood of any club, and that is particularly true at Manchester United." Those are words that fans need to hear from the new CEO of Manchester United. See you later, Arnold. See you later, Woodward. We got him out. We have a proper CEO of this amazing football club who gets it, who can write Must a letter and say, hey, fans matter. You guys are going to be a big part of this club. They're going to talk to them about their plan. Obviously, he's really busy. He's jetting off to Norway with Wilcox. It's going to be an exciting preseason against Rosenborg BK. Never heard of him. Lots of youngsters going to feature. But this summer, you're seeing Zirkzee coming in. You're seeing Kambwala leave. Like, they're hitting singles. Like the PSR, the financial fair play rules. It's going to be difficult for United to navigate this summer. But we got heavies in the front office. They're going to be able to manage. They're going to spend small ball type of money, like the Zirkzee deal being structured over 3 years, paying over the buyout clause. This is genius stuff from a world-class front office, something we hadn't seen before. We were flying out the Paella brothers on like
2 years ago. That was only 2 summers ago, bro.
Like, what are you doing in Barcelona if you're not getting Frankie de Jong to come on the plane with you? Overpaying for Anthony, panic buys, only tracking one deal at a time. Look how much business we've done already. It's small ball, but it's smart. It's money ball, and that's what we need at Manchester United.
No, absolutely. Competency is back in the business, and we haven't seen anything like this from a front office perspective. I mean, even under Fergie, he was just pulling it all together. He had Gill with him, but like, this is crazy. In a year, we went from probably having the worst front office in the EPL to one of the best, arguably one of the best front offices in global football, which is actually crazy for me to say. It's like the 5 guys who are making up our pyramid. When you look at the depth chart now in front office hierarchy, all of them could basically be a CEO or a technical director at most of the top clubs around Europe. So they got all these guys. They're all in seats. They did what they needed to do, get Dan Ashworth in place. And like you said, they're hitting singles. It's like, you don't need to hit home runs after home runs. It's like, no, you have to just aim small, miss small. Don't make $85 million punts on some random Brazilian kid out of the Dutch league. It's like, all right, this other Dutch guy, he's 35 million pounds. Let's structure the deal, pay him a little bit more, paid over 3 years because we're cash strapped, and just start getting wages off the books. Kambwala, we'll want to loan him. Let's sell him. Buyback clause, sell on clause. And they actually sold Donny van de Beek. Like, first thing, take the loss, but you got to move on with your life. And that's just the kind of business that Manchester United needs to be doing, because we have so much wood to chop that you got to start chopping. You got to get to work, one bird after another. So a lot to be excited about. A lot of work still to do, but, always darkest for the dawn, sir. Feels like the light is starting to shine in Manchester again, at least on our side of Manchester.
No, it's that preseason positivity, but it's different when you have a new crew like Barada, Ashworth, Wilcox in seat, actually making deals. And we're selling players with, sell-on clauses and buyback clauses. It's just smart business everywhere. The things we've been clowning United for years, they've never done. It's like, what am I watching? This is unbelievable. But we have to temper expectations. Zirkzee probably won't hit 30 in the EPL. We got a lot of young players.
30.
we have a lot of young players It's just encouraging signs from a competent front office, and this will stack up over time. We have to be patient about the results on the pitch. But, sir, quick PSA for the podcast. If you like the American Red Devils and you enjoy the Muppet take straight from the pod bunker, we're sweating it out here on the West Coast. Check out our YouTube page. We just started our YouTube channel. Brand new. Like, subscribe, do all those things. Also comment on the video. You can comment below the video. I'm sure everybody knows that. But every single week, we're going to shout out the top Muppet comment of the week. And this week, it is at Park Wyatt. Quote, "Sirs, this years-long pod listener just left black and white Kansas and landed in Technicolor Oz. The visual aids, the faces made for radio, and the hard-hitting Muppetry I've come to love. Congratulations on your inaugural video episode. Yes, the wind is at our back. Glory, glory, Man United." So if you want to get your comment read on the pod, like, subscribe on YouTube, and then comment below. Cheekier the better, sir. We'll read it out on the pod.
We love all the support we get. Great way to support the pod, like John mentioned. Buy merch, join Patreon. Another great way to do it is to write 5-star reviews. And if you do so on iTunes or Spotify and send a screenshot of a 5-star review, and if it's cheeky, even better, to AmericanRedDevils@gmail.com with your mailing address, I will personally pick, pack, and ship some free ARD gear, send it right to your door anywhere in the world. We've sent out a lot of gear over the last couple of years, and we appreciate all those 5-star reviews. Keep them coming, sir. 5-star Reds. I'm not expecting to see it tomorrow in Rosenborg, but hey, we're off to business, sir. United in the news. We're actually,
So, sir, like you mentioned, our Patreon page, you got to check it out. Patreon.com/America Red Devils. It is the best way to support us because we don't have any we don't have any commercial sponsorships on the pod. We're only fan supported directly by yourselves. That's how we were able to do this YouTube channel in the first place. So please check out our Patreon page. Support us there so we can continue to improve this small time operation. And like Alex said, look, our store, we got great merch. We got scarves, beanies, hoodies, stickers, posters, pins, blankets, tons of ARD merch. If Patreon's not your thing, grab some merch. Alex ships it directly from his garage next to the podcast bunker to your house. Support the pod, sir. They have to support the pod. Like you said, let's jump into some news. All right, United in the news. We have a ton of news to cover today. I feel like there's too many stories hitting the papers, but we start with the new coaching appointments. Ruud Van Nistelrooy stepping back onto the touchline. Rene, Hake, who's that guy? I don't know. He's standing next to Ruud Van Nistelrooy. How are we feeling about the new coaching appointments?
They were always going to change something after the season was over based on how bad it went. And all things considered, I think Ineos kind of threaded the needle quite well here. It's like you got to give some kind of token extra contract Ten Hag. They did that. They didn't change much. They just exercised the extra 1 year. That's good. It doesn't give him enough, but not too much rope. And then he needed a little bit of a freshening of his backroom staff. So this is apparently, from what I've heard, a move that was pushed by Ineos. They wanted his crew out. They wanted to bring in some new guys that they would pick. And Ruud being one who had success on his own in the Dutch league, coming in as his number one. So Ruud's coming in, and this is exciting. I think this is the right move to kind of like, I don't want to say clip Erik Ten Hag's wings, but I think kind of like focus his role and the concentration of his efforts and bring guys in who will maybe complement his skill set because he is stubborn. I think he's actually been... He does worse when he's too stubborn, and hopefully having new perspectives as well. Ruud is apparently like a really good coach's manager. He's got a soft touch. Erik does not have a soft touch. He's a disciplinarian. He's a hard ass. I'm hopeful this will work. And then they also confirmed the out, sir. The Dutch guy, what was the other guy? Van der Gaar, he's out. He got the hook. Mitchell van der Gaag and Benny McCarthy, the striker coach, he also left. And they also confirmed that Steve McLaren's hanging around, Darren Fletcher's hanging around, and Darren Fletcher, I think, importantly, gets demoted to a coach. But how are we feeling about these moves, sir? What are you thinking?
So for those who don't know, Mitchell van der Gaag was the other bald Dutch guy sitting next to Ten Hag who looked just really confused all the time. similar to like Ole staring at the iPad when something would go wrong. I feel like whenever something was going wrong last season, they would pan in, and then you just see the 1,000-yard stare from like two bald Dutch guys. So sad to see he's gone. He's obviously
he's entertaining.
It really was. Just like
see him gone.
You have to like watch yourself in HD. Like if I ever become a manager, you have to know when something goes wrong and you look like you don't know what you're doing. You have to like pretend like you know what you're doing. And again, like the set piece coach, he just kind of has a clipboard. Doesn't really look like he knows what he's doing either. Ineos definitely was behind this move. I like it in a few different ways. One, Ruud van Nistelrooy, club legend. We need to score goals. He scored a few goals, so we got a photo of him on the in the pod bunker. Absolute legend of the club. And then, we are getting Dutcher. Like I said, we're going full Dutch in 24-25, which is fine. But they also are probably less awkward speaking English, and they speak Dutch. So they're going to be around Erik ten Hag, and they could probably, like you said, Ruud is more warm with the players. He can help get Erik's point across probably better than Ten Hag can. And so this might help with the language barrier, and I think it's a really shrewd move by Ineos and co. Also, Ruud is going to report back and hopefully to Dan Ashworth, and he'll be able to see what's really going on behind the scenes. So this is Erik becoming a yes man, and I think Erik ten Hag is going to do well as a yes man at Manchester United.
I totally agree, because he probably had a more limited role at Ajax because they had a real organization when he was hired there and had success there. So you mentioned a couple positives that are worth mentioning and reiterating, which is like the fact he's a club legend. We've had a tendency to kind of just overhire club legends in the past, like Darren Fletcher getting a technical director role in the first place, or Ole getting that job in the first place. But Ruud was an incredible player, and not to say that Ole wasn't, but he's an incredible player, and he had some success as a coach on his own, whereas I think Ole had more limited success. So it makes sense. He could teach a lot to the young forwards, including the new lad that we're going to talk about in a second, in addition to, Rashford, who could use an arm around the shoulder, obviously Højlund, but even Garnacho and some of the other youngsters, like, hey, go to finishing school with Ruud van Nistelrooy. So, and now that you brought it up, like, he would be a very easy number, like, say they had to fire him. He's coached.
How dare you?
I'm just saying, bro. Like, now that popped into my head about Ineos, I'm sure it's not like outside of the consideration that if they had to make a move in next year, mid-season.
Well, we don't need to get into that.
That's bad.
It's going to go well.
It's going to go great.
It's going to go great. It's going to go great until it doesn't. But so we're going to jump into first summer signing. It's a big deal here.
A, B, C. A, always B, B, C, closing. Always be closing. Close or you hit the bricks.
Close or you hit the bricks. Zirkzee closed. New striker at Manchester United. How are we feeling?
We can talk about the player later, but honestly, just like what you were mentioning, like, we're doing deals at the same time for multiple targets across multiple positions. We're going after multiple center backs at the same time while selling players, while doing, probably setting up some loan deals for a couple of the youngsters. So that's what I'm most excited about, because for the last 11 years, Alec Baldwin would be ashamed, because we have not been closing. We've been terrible at closing. You're not getting the Cadillac. And this team, it's like nothing has happened yet. We've had no success on the pitch, and that will take a while. And like next year could still be a disaster. But like, you were already seeing it's night and day. Like the deals, buyback clauses, sell-on clauses. We never saw that once for like 11 years.
No, we just got cooked for 10 years straight.
Like literally just kicked in the groin. Bow, bow, bow. So before we even talk about Zirkzee, I just want to like applaud the team thus far. Is that like, wow, we really started from the bottom. And these guys, I think it helps to hire competent people. Now, Joshua Zirkzee, Dutch, we're going more Dutch, like you said.
You getting the kit?
No, I'm not.
You sound like you're a fan. Like you probably need a new kit.
Here's the thing. I have a striker. Like, I always like a striker. I always like a United striker. Like, I got Rene. He was my first kid. He was the first kid. I got an RVP kit. I got a Lukaku kit. I got a Falcao kit. It's like, I just like strikers. I got a Cavani kit. I've hit them all, baby. I'm not touching Zirkzee. I don't touch current players, and like, unless I just don't touch current players. This is a keen kit. So the youngster, let's talk about the deal. He is Dutch, but I think I like his pedigree. I like the fact that he had some success and actually earned some success at Bayern Munich at 18 and won a Champions League while scoring goals there before he lost his spot to Lewandowski, who's pretty decent. And he is Dutch, but he's got size. I don't like the fact that he's not very quick. I don't like the fact that he's not an out-and-out number 9. But I think if we come to grips with the fact that he's not an out number 9, he's like a false 9 who plays off the back shoulder, who's a setup man, good dribbler, high press machine. I think that's why Ten Hag probably loved him. I can get excited about this signing. I like his size, the physicality, and his feet. And you know what? We did have some Dutch ballers. Eventually, we're going to sign another Dutch baller. The last one was Daley Blind. So I'm bullish. I'm bullish on Zirkzee for the price.
So it's really funny. We talk about going Dutch. We got a photo of Daley Blind and Ruud van Nistelrooy in the pod. We got the Ten Hag scarf on the wall as well. You know, so we're already kind of there in the pod bunker. But look, the Zirkzee deal, what I love about it is how we negotiated it, right? We paid over the buyout so we could do 3 years on the credit card. That reduces the upfront cash hit for Ineos, which is what we need right now because the club doesn't have a lot of cash. About 60 million pounds on the balance sheet as of March when they close the third quarter. So it's a smart bit of business from Zirkzee. He's young, right? It's going to be through 29, and we have an option for a further year. So it's going to hold value well. It's just my only issue is I don't see how he fits in the squad right now because Højlund, you know, he plays high up. Zirkzee's kind of like a 10. He likes to drop deep in the midfield. Maybe because we had success with Bruno at the false 9, we're thinking Zirkzee could be a good combo to unleash the wingers up the sides of the pitch. But he's slow. I've watched the tape, and I watched it twice because I was like, maybe I was harsh on the guy. I watched it again. I was like, oh my God, he's slow. You think Wout Weghorst is slow? I mean, I could just...
Slower? Is he slower?
The problem is any player you buy out of England, you got to give him a year, right? And so... it's a long deal. It's a long contract. He's young. He has a lot of potential. I like how it's structured. I think there's upside here. It's how are you going to react when you get punched in the face, when he feels the pace and physicality of the EPL. No one's going to come in and just do damage. Everyone's posting hype videos like this kid's going to come out and just destroy the EPL. That's not how it works. It's going to be a tough year. How does he react to that tough year? And then it's really about year 2, 3, and 4. That's where you're going to see the value with Joshua Zirkzee. So again, temper expectations. Good deal. Lots of potential for this kid. And we'll see how it goes. I'm nervous because we don't have that out-and-out number 9, that veteran like the Ivan Toney. We really need that. We're dying for that. And if we can get a signing like that and Zirkzee, I like it a lot more than just him on his own.
No, I mean, you make a lot of good points, especially like that second year. Like Højlund, this is a big year for him, step up, because first year it was decent, but you get a bit of a pass. So I agree. I also think that's like a great kind of meta discussion, which is like we always put too much pressure on these guys, no matter who it is, no matter who we're signing, like because we're United and everything's bigger at United, and also like when it's the summer transfer window, we're all a little too online, So it's like we could go all in. So I think we have to just temper our expectations in general. De Ligt, Zirkzee, like none of these guys are going to be a silver bullet. It's going to take like a semblance of a team. We got to build a team. We got to build a mentality, a philosophy, and we have to also like iron sharpens iron. We have to go out there and throw the boys in there and get beat up by a West Ham because guess what? Like West Ham and Bologna are different. It's just there's a different level of physicality and pace, like you mentioned. So, I like the fact that you mentioned, right? Good value. But the pressure is on him if we don't bring in another number 9. So, like, they have to, I think, given who they went for, who's not a bad signing. I think he's a good player. You do need still a number 9. So
we need goals. We need goals in this team. That's what I'm saying. You spend this money on Zirkzee. It's like, that's great. He's a good young player. He has talent. We need goals. Toney will give you goals. Like, that's the problem with this squad right now. Is Højlund's isn't giving you the goals right now just yet. He probably will. Rashford can't play number 9. Zirkzee doesn't want to play number 9 because he's more of like that floating 10 or likes to drop deep. We need the striker who can go behind and score goals, sir. Wayne Rooney, Ruud van Nistelrooy, like good United sides, had good strikers. We've been dying for one. Harry Kane probably should have got him. Haaland should have got him. It's like we've been dying for number 9 for too long. United need a serious striker up front to lead the line. That's just how it's ingrained in me. It's ingrained in this club, and the fact we don't have 3 of them pisses me off, let alone 1.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be the best striker in the world or the second best striker in the world with the guys you mentioned, right? Which are like ridiculous, and that's the caliber of player Manchester United should have. But even just like a competent Premier League number 9, like an Ivan Toney, who's, fallen out of form because he had a betting scandal. Manchester United, we like to forget.
He's got some dog in him,
but we want dog. And
I know,
what?
that's what I'm saying.
A little betting scandal, bro. He got wrapped on the wrist. As long as he's not still like going to the Ladbrokes before training, we're all good, because that's what you need. You need an Ivan Toney who scored 20 Premier League goals the season before last when he didn't get suspended. He has it. He's a dog. He has a point to prove, and we can get him for a deal. A couple years ago, he'd be 80 million. We could probably, the rumor is we can get it for half that, because nobody wants to touch him at the moment, given what happened, which you get, because there's a lot of, sensitivity with betting, especially in the EPL. So that's how I think that's how if any of us are smart, they're thinking that way. Like, this is a guy for the future, good resale value, but we also need to take the burden off the team, because if we score goals, we're going to be fine. If we score goals, we'll finish in the top 4. If we don't,
exactly,
it's going to be a fucking knife fight, which it was last season as we finished 8th. So we get goals will be totally cool.
You want to highlight some of the stats that you like about Zirkzee here?
I just thought, compared to some of the other players in the Serie A last year, I think the reasons why, is not because he's the 10th best in goals, first in total tackles, second in possession one and defensive third, first in possession one and attacking third, through balls attempted, top 10, second place. So a lot of assists, 6 is decent. So obviously you're going to want to see more goals, but actually the tape I was seeing is he let up so many good chances to his teammates who are, hopefully our teammates are a little bit better and can finish more goals. So he's going to need time, like you said. Everyone needs to temper expectations. Very few players just pull a Bruno, come in first thing and just start banging it in. That does not usually happen. Bruno, Holland did it, but really they're the minority.
All right, moving on to the next rumored signing here, Matthijs de Ligt. He told his agent Rafael Pimenta 2 weeks ago he only wants Manchester United, no negotiations with other clubs. He's Dutch. We love Dutch players here in 2024-25. If we don't have to pay too much up front and we can put it on the credit card and he'll take a wage hit, this could be a very interesting deal. He would walk right in to be a starter on the back line with Lisandro Martinez. And we highlighted his stats prior. He's just unbelievable when it comes to possession and passing out the back, right? So the whole idea is you have Onana, de Ligt can help basically distribute possession, carry the ball forward, do that with Lisandro, transform the back line, something we didn't see last year. Ten Hag always complained that we couldn't do that with the players he had. So if we get a de Ligt, it could transform the way we play. And like I said, that you don't pass it out of the back with shitfootball.com. So this could be a transformative signing. I'm excited, tempering expectations, because you know how this goes. It's just going to be a summer-long saga, Bayern holding out, United holding out, and we'll see kind of where it goes.
Yeah, they've acted like this is more far along than it could be, because you would assume, based on all the noise we've heard, this would be the next shoe to drop, because, the Dutch just got booted. They crashed out at Euros a couple days ago. Zirkzee was kind of finalized or accelerated. Well, maybe they'll move on to the next target. But I agree. It's de Ligt, he's an interesting one, man. He's young. He's only 24. He's a name that you've heard about forever. And, to be honest, I haven't watched that much of him play. Seen a little bit in the Champions League. He wasn't playing for his Dutch team. I think he had a little bit of a knock. So we know his rep. He still seems like the kind of player that you need a dog in front, like a Ugarte. That's why I think you want a CDM destroyer just sitting in front of Martinez and whoever the other center back would be. So the price is right. He wants to take a pay cut. I like that. He only wants to come to United. Some other clubs are interested. I like that. I want to get back to it's a fucking honor to play for this club. It's a privilege to play for Manchester United. Everyone would be beating down the doors, and I feel like from a performance on the pitch perspective, we're shit, as of last season. But there is definitely people want to come work for this club, whether it's in a front office capacity, whereas all of our top choices, we got every single one. We got everybody in the seat. It was our first choice. I know the next guy we're going to talk about a little bit different, but everybody, including de Ligt of the world, are I only want to go to Manchester United, and that's refreshing because, damn, isn't that how it's supposed to be, sir?
That is how it's supposed to be, and like you said, we are linked to another center back. I don't know about this mustache. I'm just gonna throw it out there.
It's very French.
But the name, Lenny,
hey
Lenny, hey Lenny Yoro, he hasn't made his decision. Our bid was accepted by Lille in France. He is a gangly, thin mustache center back. I don't know what you think about him, sir, but he does look like a player. Again, don't break the bank. Good prospect. He's young. 18-year-old top talent. I like going young. long contract, like not a lot of wages. It makes sense. That you can see where Ineos is going. The profile is clear.
No, it's smart moves, and the signing I hearken this back to was, the other up and coming French center back that we missed out on to Real Madrid was Varane, of course, and even Sir Alex couldn't tempt him after Zidane turned his ear. Lenny's same boat. Like, he is one of the top-rated center back prospects in all of Europe. He's 18 years old. He's got 1 year left of his contract. Leal's trying to get something out of him, so we hit that price. Profile's on point, but it's like, you want to come to United, you're welcome. They want De Ligt and Leny. And we'd call him Lenny. That would be great. Great for the pod. Great for us. I'd enjoy that. But if he doesn't want to come, smell you later. Like, I want him to come. He looks a player. The mustache. We'll see. But
so much about football relates to like dating, at least the transfer market. It's like, if he doesn't want you,
you're out.
We don't want him.
Yeah, we're good.
Like, that's how it goes. It's like, so the longer this drags on, probably not good for United.
No, definitely not.
And that's why we're coming back from the Times. United thinking about putting in another bid, a third bid for Branthwaite. This is when it gets a little dangerous, in my opinion, because you got a young French center back, kind of like, depending what you think on the mustache. Branthwaite is like overpaid English. And we've gone overpaid English so much. I mean, he had a good season, but
one good.
I just don't get the 80 million pound thing. And you can't pay more than like 40 or 50 for him. We're already in that range. So I just don't want United paying more for this kid. I don't want to overpay for Branthwaite.
Yeah, I mean, this is the problem. And this is like, when we...
Or Branthwaite. I don't know how to say his name.
If we sign him, we'll figure it out. I'm sure it's not Lenny Yoro. Is it Lenny Yoro?
Hey, Lenny Yoro's easy.
Yeah. What I was getting at is, like, when we grew up, when we started watching EPL and we started watching Manchester United, the ethos always was buy English, but mostly buy English Premier League. Buy proven players. If you can make it a Premier League, if you can make it at West Ham, you can make it at Villa, Spurs, wherever, you can make it at United. And actually, that turned out to be very true. But over the last decade, as more and more cash has just
no.
Hold on.
I disagree with
Hold
this.
on, if I might just finish my point. I just think the price premium now, the 80 million, you're not pulling that out of your ass. That is now the market price for a top center back prospect, 22-year-old, breaking onto the scene. So I'm just saying the price has gotten so elevated, and we're so cheap because we have to be because we're broke, that we can't really buy EPL no more. Because if we can get De Ligt for 45, and we have to go to 60, 70 for this kid.
No, but like the playbook still works. The old English playbook still works. Like the Solanke, the Tarkowski that we should have signed. Like, that was like a great center back. Went to Burnley
For nothing. No, I agree.
Like a few of the cave troll center backs from like Southampton, like like the Norway, it's like this guy's got like the American Red Devils. Like, you have to have cave troll to play center back. Martinez, he's got cave troll in him. Maguire, he's like softer cave troll.
Sometimes.
Branthwaite, no, he doesn't have an ounce, sir. I mean, you got like
he's a pretty boy.
You got quite a bit of cave troll blood in you.
More than most. I'm just missing the athleticism.
So I think it's like Solanke would be the striker to get. Something like that is just like a no-brainer. It's not sexy, but he'll get you goals. Like, I just feel like there's too much hype around this kid. We buy English hype, you get absolutely torched, right? That's what I think the issue is. Like a Cole Palmer, that's a good deal. But now if you buy Cole Palmer off the hype right now, bad deal.
He'd be like $130. I mean, he'd be so expensive now. Also, another caveat that we have to mention is that Amadou Onana, a destroyer CDM who just is moving to Aston Villa because he's replacing one of the players there, one of the Brazilians that left. So like, they're going to be less reluctant to especially accept a deal in general, but accept anything lower than what their target price. So I think we're going to be moving on from Branthwaite and looking elsewhere because, like you said, we can't be paying over the odds for a center back.
Speaking of not paying over the odds, we signed our boy Jonny Evans. Here's Jonny. He's back at United, 1 year contract. This is a bit of stop the bleeding. We definitely need a fifth or sixth center back in the depth chart. Jonny Evans played well last season. We saw him out in Abu Dhabi. He was talking about going to MLS at that time, racking weight on the bench, and me and Alex kind of rolling up. Hey, Jonny, how you doing? Like, nicest guy in the world. Big fans of Jonny Evans here. Glad he had a great season. Won an FA Cup. He's also a leader in the locker room. What do you think of this business here?
I like this move. I think, the vibes checks, they're getting it. Like, Ineos understands they're going to feed us meat with signings, not as much as we want, but they're going to feed us. And then, like, the smart, like, okay, we're going to big back Ruud. We're going to keep around Evans. It's like, and that is smart business. That is exactly what we should be doing, because beyond just a, vibes perspective, Evans can contribute. He's a good leader. He has experience. He can teach some of the youngsters. And we've lost more leadership by losing Varane, who, even though he wasn't available every match because of injuries, he had like a gravitas that you get with five Champions League titles. Same with Casemiro. We're probably going to lose him. So, like, we're going younger. You still need some veterans, and you can't just have, like, Luke Shaw and Bruno being the only senior statesmen. So, I like this move beyond just him playing. It just, he's a good guy. We met him. You could tell he's a good guy. We knew he was a good guy before we even met him because he's got a reputation, and he's an academy lad, and academy lads tend to have a good head on their shoulders. So I'm excited about Johnny Evans. Let's go. That's the kind of jersey I need, proven winner. He's won it all. I can't jinx him at this point.
And then on the sell side, Donny van de Beek. See you later. Smell you later, sir. 62 appearances for United. 35 million pounds plus add-ons to Ajax.
Jesus.
Van der Sar did us dirty. 2 goals and 2 assists. If he couldn't play well under Ten Hag, this is Dutch going bad. We've had a lot of Dutch go bad at Manchester United. Hey, we got something for him. That's a win for Ineos, but the history of our horrid signings, I feel like this is another one of them. Like, when we signed him, where was he going to play?
Well, this was the old regime. Now we're in the new regime, because before it made no sense. There was no need for Donny van de Beek in our squad when we signed him. We had Bruno, we had Pogba, we needed a CDM. We still haven't signed a CDM. I guess Casemiro counts, but like, it never made sense. It was an opportunistic signing. It was like when the team had no fucking clue. It was Murtaugh and Woodward, and it might have just been Woodward at that point. So it's going to take a while to unwind these signings, but this is the right move. You got to take it on the chin and just sell them for best case £5 million, worst case £500,000, and move on with your life. Get your wages off his books. Hopefully, I'm rooting for you, Donny. Go have
initial fee $500,000.
I mean, that's rough. That pays for like a couple players' 1 week salary. So, but the most important thing is you have to move. You have to get him out of the squad because he's eating up wages, bro, and he's a distraction. So it's like, this is good. We're gonna take some knocks on the chin. That's okay.
Pour one out for Donny. The next sale here kind of surprised everybody. We saw Willie Kambwala training at Carrington last podcast. We were looking at the pics. Seemed to enjoy himself, and then boom, he's off to Villarreal. 10 million euros, 5-year contract, buyback clause is in there, sir. I believe we have Sullen as well. Smart business from Ineos. This goes to the PSR. Like, we need to raise funds. If we want to make moves, we need dry powder. 10 million euros for Kambwala. I think that's a good deal. He was rated at 5 million on Transfer Market. That isn't very accurate, but to get 10 million euros for him, Will Fish is now training. Like, Ten Hag rates Kambwala, but this is just smart business from Ineos. I think this is what you want to see.
Yeah, we used to do loans to nowhere. Like, used to loan players to Sevilla, and those all would blow. They were all terrible. Like, for the love of God, stop loaning players to Sevilla. There is something to be said. I think, like, City started doing this, which is like, you sell them cheap, but you kind of control their destiny. So if they are good, you'll either be able to get them back for a reasonable price, or you just profit off of it, where it's like it all washes out in whatever. So this makes sense. I rated the youngster. I thought he was going to like have a chance to kind of break into the squad as a rotation player this year, because when we signed him as a kid, he was like 5'10", and now he's 6'4", and he's got good feet. So I'm hoping he does well, because this is the kind of player that you want to do well. Like you said, we need the money now. We need to get the wages off our books now, and then you buy him back for 30 because he's a killer and he's like ripping it up in the La Liga. So wishing you well, Willie. Wishing you well.
But he played well. It's like, again, a youngster. He played well against Liverpool, then got absolutely cooked by Solanke. Bournemouth, he like fell on the floor. Solanke just cooked him and then finished the cherries. Like, that's just one of those things.
Bro,
you get 10 million euros, I'll take it. At this
Come
point,
back a man.
we need some business. And then last real article on the sales side here: Marseille United reach agreement on Mason Greenwood. See you later, Mason Greenwood. I think great call from Ineos getting him out. Obviously, American Red Devils want him out. Ten Hag wanted him in. So I think this is some good business. The deal will see Marseille pay United about £26 million, 23 million fixed, 3.4 million in add-ons. Again, this is going to provide us with dry powder to do other deals we need to transform the squad. I think this is a good deal. Get him out the door.
Yeah, and this is a sticky one given Mason Greenwood's background, because now the mayor of Marseille is getting involved. Some of the fan organizations are petitioning for the signing to not go through. So it's not there yet. Apparently, even the player hasn't consented. But there is a deal. The deal, in theory, is a good deal, right? Like, this is decent money given everything that's happened. Obviously, like, before the scandal, he'd be worth 2-3 times this. But this is like Donny van de Beek. Let's get any money we can get. Let's get his wages off his books, and also let's get the distraction out of the way. We don't want these players that we can't use or we can't sell. This is actually a good outcome if we can get this deal over the line.
Yeah, like you said, not done yet, but we're hoping, because that's a good chunk of change, sir. That could buy maybe a third string striker. And the last bit of squad news we want to get to before jumping into sort of the financial update is Jadon Sancho. I'd take a pair of corduroys from him. I think that's what you said last podcast. We're not even getting corduroys. So
back, baby.
What allegedly happened is Ten Hag and Sancho, they had a meeting, kumbaya, everything's good. They put it behind them. I think this came from Ineos. I think Ineos said, hey, you got to deal with this kid. We need him to play. We need to sell him or use him. And I think Ten Hag, good on him for burying the hatchet with them. I hope it is in earnest. He can play false nine. He can play on the right wing. He can play on the left wing. He's good enough. We saw him play well in the Champions League semifinal. There is a player there that can help United in some way, shape, or form. We don't know what happened behind the scenes. I don't know how horrible of a guy Jadon Sancho is. Doesn't sound like a great guy, but he seems to be okay in the team at Dortmund. And can he figure it out at United? Look, Sancho needs to play well for his career. United need him to play well if we can move him on. So this is always going to happen. He gets paid so much money. No one's going to buy him. So we called it. We said Greenwood would go, Sancho would stay. Here he is in training. And oh, by the way, kumbaya.
It's like a new signing. No, 100%. I mean, you nailed it all. It's like the Greenwood one, he had gone out and proved it in La Liga that there was a demand for that player and you could have him sold. And also, he's not on egregious wages. Sancho is always coming back. And I'm sure this is part of the make good between Ineos and Erik ten Hag. Is like, you're going to have to deal with this for better or for worse. So he was always coming back. I hope he does well so we can move him on. And, I don't want anyone to have a bad go of it. So, like, I hope he has a good career elsewhere. I hope we can get some of the money back. And I hope we can reinvest it elsewhere. And, the only reason I'm concerned about having him in the squad to sell is, like, I don't want to blow the Amad Diallo. I think Amad Diallo is a real player, and I think he needs minutes. And Anthony starting ahead of him is a whole other story. But, like, Amad needs minutes, bro. Amad is a player, and he showed that at the end of last season. And we're going to have to fit another piece of the puzzle in. So this is the one to watch for the summer. I don't know if it's done yet. He'll probably be here September 1st, to be fair, but we'll see.
I hope the whole stubborn Erik ten Hag, cold Ten Hag is gone. Because I really think that, Diallo kind of fell out with the manager, couldn't get a game. Varane, obviously Sancho is probably the most egregious one. Rashford at some point. It just seemed like way too much internal fighting, and I hope we can just get back to football. Like, everybody kind of relax. Like, the manager is going to be a disciplinarian, but, like, we got other coaches around him. It's like, I think the drama just has to go at United. Like, that's all we want is, like, the drama. Hopefully this is a sign of the drama going. Now, I could paint you the picture of the drama coming back, which is that, like, Sancho never touches the pitch. He blows up. Like, how long will Sancho go without, like, getting any minutes? And that's really the question. So I'm looking for the manager to be the bigger man, somehow integrate him in some way or put him on the pitch, because you saw him fight with Ronaldo. I'm a big Ronaldo guy. Some people say he won that fight or that was the right thing to do, but it just felt like he kind of took that approach with multiple players. And over time, that's just going to get you at the end of the day because you need less of that and you need more bringing the squad together. You don't have to be Gareth Southgate, right? But there's some spectrum of that you need where you got to kind of just keep everybody together, keep everyone having a good time.
Yeah, and there was a lot of clapping at players and players clapping at the coaches. And I wasn't sure if that was you know what? Life is always a bit of both, right? It's probably a combination of Erik ten Hag being too much of a hard ass and us enabling too much player power for too long that had to be unwound a little bit. So I want less of that, like you said. I want less drama. I want to focus on football and exciting, building a future for Manchester United that we can all enjoy together. You know, and that'll be fun. Yeah, let's just less fighting. But I think there's a lot of uncertainty around the sale, and last season was just a fucking dumpster fire. And I think everything will be better, but not perfect. So I'm very hopeful for the future.
All right, sir, let's get into our financial update here.
It's all about bucks, kid. The rest is conversation.
Gordon Gecko, thank you for the introduction. Look, Manchester United closed the third quarter. This is the boring side of the financials, so if you don't like this, feel free to fast forward. I'll try to give you the cliff notes. The third quarter for Manchester United is March. We close our fiscal year in June. That follows the season, which makes sense. The concerning thing was revenue was down 20% year over year. That's because we had no Europe. So we lose the ticketing gate, all the fans coming to Old Trafford, etc., and the TV money. That was a huge hit to the books. But United have guided that they're going to be earning more revenue than last year when it comes into the season. So I think that's encouraging from Ratcliffe & Co. There was some concerns around losing money. So our free cash flow, which is basically your profit at the end of the year, 9 months in, we have lost almost as much money as we did in 2020, which is the COVID year, which is insane. So United are losing money. Revenue's down. Shitfootball.com's taking over Old Trafford. And we have $60 million on the balance sheet. We do have a credit card and a revolver that we can use, but debt is sky high. This picture is not as positive as the one we painted about Ashworth and everyone coming in.
This is hard to unwind.
But Ineos's check is going to come in, so that isn't included in the $60 million just yet.
Good point.
But it's not like Ratcliffe, all of his money went to buy the shares, so it didn't really go into the club. So the question goes, how are we going to raise money? Maui Jim Stadium is coming. A lot of different commercial moves are coming. Stadium rebuild with outside financing is coming. A lot of creative financial moves from Ratcliffe is coming. But this is a tough and tight situation, and the reason is the PSR rules, which is the financial fair play. You can only lose a max of £105 million over 3 years. And so if you look at the estimates for where we're going to end up, we really can't lose any money. That's why we got to sell Kambwala. That's why we got to kind of make these 3-year deals with Zirkzee. So it's really tight. And so I'm just trying to highlight the point where revenue's down, losing money, not a lot of money to spend, and Ratcliffe & Co. are still navigating the transfer market. That's what's incredible. That's how good they are. So when we don't have this amazing summer, I think we're still going to make these moves. The question for me is, they got to be banking on some big stadium money or selling a player like Rashford right now, because the Lenny Yoro bid, the De Ligt bid, something's got to give on the cash side. And either we can structure the deals or we can raise more money by selling bigger name players like a Bruno or a Rashford. And we don't know anything. We haven't heard much about it yet. I don't want that to happen, but something has to give here.
Yeah, my hope is it's the stadium naming, because that's a big chunk of money. We can sell that for top dollar. But like you said, this is the stuff that's going to take a lot longer to unwind, because by being so incompetent, by just being such bad business people, they put the club in not just a bad position on the pitch and, unable to compete at the top level in Europe and in England, but the company, the club is in dire straits financially, and this is going to take a while. This will take years to unwind, because like you said, we're going to have to stay in Europe consistently be in the Champions League. We're going to have to pull every lever imaginable to monetize this club, and they're going to do everything. and that's okay because at the end of the day, like we have to make money to spend money.
Sponsor the pod.
Yeah, that's not going to be worth it for them. But like, they're going to sell the stadium rights. They're probably going to like try and push us into one of those shows, sir. Like Netflix will probably pay $10 million a year to watch Manchester United in the dressing room, even though like, I don't know if that's a good thing for anybody, but it's a mess. It's going to take a while, but this is why you need a front office on their toes and structuring deals, looking for deals, looking for players that they can resell or players that they don't have to put a huge amount of money at or give them an extra $1.5 million to structure over 3 instead of 1. So we need smart people to navigate the situation they're in because they're in the middle of a fucking storm and it's not necessarily smooth sailing. It's like they have a lot of things to get right if they're going to land this plane and build United into the place we want to be in a sustainable way. So they got a lot of work to do, but I think that's why they hired the best people possible is to give yourself the best chance of success, right? And I think we have the best people possible, but they have a big task ahead of them.
Yeah, and shout out to @the_POS_007 who's running all these models and analysis. And yes, sir, when I didn't have kids, I was actually running these models on United myself. But here you can see what the PSR transfer impact looks like. It's sort of like a waterfall where you can see we're selling players, we're saving money, like the Greenwood sale right here. You can see like net to the good from a PSR perspective, so we're not going to be losing money because what you're doing with PSR is you're looking back at the last 2 years and then projecting a year forward on what you plan on losing, right? So winning the FA Cup mattered. Selling Greenwood matters for like what our projected losses will be. And so it's really complicated, but they're kind of threading the needle, and something that we always want to highlight. And also something we can't get out from under is just the debt that the Glazers put us under. The cumulative interest is almost at £1 billion. £960 million since the Glazers acquired United has gone to service the debt. You should have debt on an asset like this, but it should be on like a new stadium build that you pay down over time, like a mortgage, not necessarily like for nothing and never pay it down and only pay more interest. So the Glazer problem is still an issue at United. Obviously, Ineos is sort of running things at the moment, but this crippling debt needs to be dealt with, and there's no end in sight. #Glazers out, sir. You got to say it here on the pod.
Glazers out now and forever. I mean, it's like the worst financial decision. It's not like I'm going to take out a mortgage, second mortgage, third mortgage, line of credit to like make my house better. I'm going to just start buying cars and big screen TVs. It's basically what we did. Like buying Anthony is like buying a purple Land Rover that doesn't have an engine in it. It's just like, it's not, we should have put that money in the stadium, into Carrington, into the academy. And it's like they pissed away like $1 billion.
All right, jumping into fan questions here. We have some good ones. At JC Engineer 39, in what place does Manchester United need to be in for Erik ten Hag to keep his job for another season? What do you think?
I think just playing good football, which we saw in the last 2-3 games of the season, and we saw for much larger parts in the first season. So playing good football, firmly in the top 4, the race for the top 4, making moves in Europe and Europa League and the cups that we're in, and just like the team playing good football. I think it's very important that the team is successful.
And the question said what place? You seem to be
top
going...
4. I said top 4. I think if we're in the top 4, or right.
So he's 5.
No, I think if we are 5th place, but we're playing better football and you see us getting someplace, like I don't think you'd fire him. And they might, but like I wouldn't. If we're getting better and there's like we're building something, that would be encouraging for me. But like I'm not the one making the call. But like if we see what we saw last season, sucking, like
I know. I'm just saying. I don't think it's a place thing. I think it's has the manager put last year behind him? Has he learned from his mistakes? And I want to hope that he has. But he seems like a stubborn Dutchman, and that's just an interesting, we're going to know. We're going to know in the first 5 games for sure. And you never know what you're going to get to the start of a season. We could win 21 next year. We could finish 12th. It could be,
both of those are possible.
Both of those are possible.
More than possible.
Unfortunately.
But he's going to have every chance to succeed. So if he doesn't succeed, it's on him. Because, the squad's going to be turnover, but, the front office is going to give him rope, and he has to take it and grab his opportunity. Otherwise, like you can't.
He has to have that team. He has to play the Ajax away. You got to play like build up from the back, dominate the ball. You got to dominate the ball at Old Trafford. You got to like take it to the opponent. Like you got to. That has to be the bare minimum. I think we can do that with what we have. At Mike United Mets, quote, things have gone relatively quiet on the Ugarte front. Do you think him coming in is dependent on Casemiro going out, or the Rabat decision rumored to be next week? What do you think about Ugarte? That has gone silent.
I mean, part of that could have been that Uruguay was involved in the Copa America up until last night. So it might be, well, John always talks about this, like players aren't moving if they're in international tournaments. And even with Zirkzee, he didn't finish the move, even though obviously moves were happening behind the scenes until Holland crashed out of the Euros. So it might be dependent on Casemiro because, like, headed into the end of the season, there's a ton of smoke about him going to Saudi. Less so recently, but Ugarte is also a tough one because, like, they just bought him. They're not going to want to sell him cheap. He's young. He fits the profile perfect for us. So I don't know. I think Amrabat. They're not. I don't think they're touching Amrabat for $20 million if you can get Ugarte for $35. But I don't know. What do you think, sir?
I wouldn't pay a pair of corduroys for Amrabat. Like honestly, that's just it. Just doesn't work. In England, I just think at that level just doesn't fit. Ugarte, watch the tape. It doesn't blow me away. Like I think the Paulinho from Fulham was the guy. Like he was so good and running the midfield for Portugal too, playing with Bruno. Like I think he got sold for 40 or something.
Yeah, but to Bayern.
But 40? Are you kidding? I just feel like there's better players. He
shut down America. He shut us down that game.
No, but it was slop shop. It probably didn't highlight his skills. I got to see him play in Europe, but he is a little bit of a bruiser. I just think you need more finesse in the EPL.
He's not Rodri. He's not Casemiro. He's
Rice,
more limited.
Rodri.
No, they're not.
Those are the guys who are running.
He's not that player.
You need a general who's ticking over the midfield, running the show. That is Kobe Mainu. He's a
destroyer. This guy is literally just tackle, pass to the guy next to him who's a better passer. So he's more limited. So the upside's much lower than a Rodri or a Rice, of course.
At Sabres, Car Guy 9, smart business it seems. Selling lower players not rated is good to get cash, but now we don't have the reserves. When we see center back 6 this season, we're in for a bunch of center backs. We don't have them over the line. We got Johnny Evans back, so that's a positive sign. I'm sure they have a plan. I'm sure I got to trust in these guys. They're going to figure it out. Will Fish.
It's a big step. We haven't sold Lindelof or Maguire. They're still around. We're apparently signing de Ligt, and they want at least 2 center backs is what we're hearing. So
someone's going to be sold back there.
Also, it is fucking early. It's mid-July. There's a lot of transfer window left. There is a shit ton of transfer window left. Let's see what happens because at a certain point we're going to get our base case signings done, and then they're going to be dependent on sales. So there's a lot of room left to make moves.
All right, at D_Cole, Lindelof, Eriksson, Greenwood, Casemiro. Who else do we think should be on the way ASAP with Sancho and Ten Hag supposedly burying the hatchet and us being unable to offload Anthony? Is this the end for Palestri? Sad Kambwala is gone, but the deals and buybacks Ineos are doing are brilliant. Who else should go?
Palestri should go. Removed of Anthony. Palestri has to, for his own career.
He's up in 25. Contract's up in 2025.
You should try and get 10 million. You should try and get what you got for Kambwala or less, but 5 to 10 million. Move him off. Wish him the best. He's also a good kid. Yeah, you should probably sell Magoo. I like McTominay. I keep him as a utility midfielder. People want to sell ADBB. I wouldn't sell ADBB.
Magoo just doesn't. He's like the goo that doesn't go away. He keeps coming back.
But he's playable.
So
he's good in the air. He's good.
I think he's proved.
He has.
He's proved that he's the type of player that I think you want around because he just take the captaincy off of him. He plays. Everybody hates him. He plays. He just, for whatever, his slab head, nothing gets through that slab head, bro. He just goes and there's something about that. Maybe he's not first string, if De Ligt comes in, but he can do a job. And, he's a EPL proven player. Might want to keep him around, extend him. That's a cheap bit of business. Lindelof's got to go. That guy should
no, but Goose got something.
Lindelof came in and it was saw him play, was got to sell him right away. And he's been here for 9 years, dude. It's are you kidding me? He's got zero cave troll.
None. He's too pretty. He's way too pretty for to be a center back. Come on.
You bought him for the pass, and he's made a few of them, but not enough. And I think he's got to go, sir.
No, I think there's something to be said. That's why I keep Maguire, McTominay, and AWB. It's we need some dogs, some players. They don't have to be your day-to-day starter all the time, but it's a long season. There's a lot of injuries. We've got a lot of games to play. I think we need bodies who can are resilient, and those three guys all do not get injured that often. So that's another reason that they're worthwhile.
But that's it. That is the podcast. You like the American Red Devils, please check out our YouTube channel. Subscribe, comment. You could be the Muppet of the Week if you write a cheeky comment below. Also, check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/American Red Devils. Tons of great benefits there. AmericanDevils.store for your merch. Pick it up while it lasts. We're getting our new Garnacho scarf in this summer. We're getting hats as well. Also, AmericanDevils.com for all your fan-generated blog content. Sir, give us our top 10 downloads last 7 days.
Number 1, how you doing? How you doing? Chicago, Illinois, Dublin, Ireland, Los Angeles, California, New York, Brooklyn, New York, Philadelphia, PA, Oslo, Norway, Charlotte, North Carolina, San Francisco, California, and last but not least, Portland, Oregon. Appreciate all the American Devils listening week in, week out. Couldn't do without you. We got a lot to look forward this season. Like John mentioned, YouTube on the menu now, boys and girls. Subscribe, all that jazz. It means a lot. It goes a long way. It's just John and I sweating it out in the pod room. Hopefully we're not sweating it out at Old Trafford this season because it's right around the corner. Community Shield, less than a month away. Can't wait.
Yeah, and one thing I want to highlight on our website, AmericanRedDevils.com, we got all the best United songs and chants. So if you're interested in getting more involved in singing and chanting, when you go to United at the Stretford End, check it out. We're going to leave you with a classic, Take Me Home, United Road, sir.
I was born to be united. Daddy told me when I was just a baby.